Hello everyone, this is your 5 and welcome to Global Untitled Chapter review. In today's review, we're looking at the 2009 release by Hasbro of the Spider-Man Classics action figure review. And today's action figure review, we're looking at the black costume Spider-Man that comes with the web glider accessory. Now I got this straight from a local toy shop near my work area for 49 ringgit and 90 cents. Let's take a look at the front part packaging, especially the top part here. The top section here, you got a nice little image of Spider-Man posed in a manner that he's shooting his web and swinging one roof to the other. On the other side, you got an image of the, buildings itself. The caption stated that the figure rides on the glider. And inside the packaging, you got the figure itself, the black costume Spider-Man. Next to him is the accessory, the web glider itself. Now at the back of the packaging, top section here stated a small little write-up. Spider-Man stalks the streets in his black costume looking for trouble. He played nice with criminals for too long, and now it's time they learn the web slinger is serious. Creeping quietly from rooftop to rooftop, he searches for muggers ready to smash any crime he finds. Here you got an image of the black costume Spider-Man riding his web glider accessory. And on the bottom is the rest of the lineup. For the superheroes is mainly about Spider-Man. You got Spider-Man there, Iron Spider-Man, and Rocket Blast Spider-Man. For the supervillains, you got the Gargan version of the Venom figure, Tarantula, and Green Goblin. So without further ado, let's open up this package so we can molest the toy. Be right back. And we're back of the figure and the glider out from packaging. Now let's take a look at the glider here. Now the entire piece of the glider is just pure black plastic. There's no paint job at all. But the sculpting details, there is a little bit of sculpting details. As you can see, all the tiny little details, the lines, to make it look like, Spider-Man's web is very nicely done. You notice there's 2 footholds for the figure to stand on. But the problem is the 2 footholds in a very weird positioning. As I'm going to demonstrate right now. You have to tilt the ankle on one angle like this in order for Spidey to fit into the foothold, and you can see the ankle is in a very awkward positioning. So does the other side. Other than that, the glider serves no other function except being as a prop. You can actually hang it on the wall to a nail, and Spidey can stand on the web itself to make it look like he is actually standing on the web. Problem is, this is the only support for the figure itself, the 2 footholds, unless you have the figure grab on any piece of the web itself using his right hand. Problem is, his right hand, the grip itself, there's a little bit of gap, but the gap is too small for him to actually grab on anything at all, unless you use the hot water trick to widen the gap a little bit so he can grab onto it. Otherwise, he just have no other support except for the 2 footholds, and eventually, if you hung it on the wall like so with the figure, he will just fall. Nice accessory, but I don't see the point to it. Now let's take a look at the figure's paint job. Spidey don't have a lot of paint job. Majority of black you notice here is just pure black plastic. Now the eyes is painted, but the eyes near to the middle section here, the corner areas here, the white paint job starts to fade off a little bit. They didn't apply as much white paint job to the eyes near to the center point there. There's a nice spider logo from front and back, but the front part here, you notice there's a little bit of paint chipped. Now the 4 hands here, you notice it's painted, and in the middle there's a black hole, just like how he is for his original costume. There's a little bit of shading on his crotch, upper bicep, on his 2 thighs, lower shin, back of his butt, back of the thigh, and the lower legs. A bit of silver shading there. Other than that, the paint job is very simplistic, nothing to boast about, very simple. Now let's take a look at the figure's sculpt. The entire body is very slender and muscular, suitable for Spider-Man's body, but it's also designed similar to Hasbro's Marvel Legends style. instead of Toy Biz version, so you may not get as much, well, articulation that you really wanted. And worse still, they also removed a couple of articulation, which I'm going to show later. First off, just like the Hasbro's version, there's no double jointed knee, there's no toe articulation, there's no swivel cut for the upper bicep, there's no hinge joint for the neck, and for this figure it doesn't even come with a wrist joint as well. This two wrist is already sculpted, permanently affixed to this position. One side of the hand itself has a sort of semi-closed fist, and the other side, well, he is trying to shoot his web shooter, and there's no wrist joint at all. So basically that's what you're gonna get. This is a permanent affixed position, which is kind of disappointing. Now there is a bit sculpt on the head, well, for the eyes actually, so they can actually paint the eyes. It's actually not bad, but the entire body is rather, well, rather bland. There's nothing so spectacular for the sculpt itself. A little bit disappointing on the wrist joint there, but other than that, there's nothing really spectacular for the sculpt itself. Let's take a look at the figure's articulation. The head turned 360 degrees and barely able to move up and down and side to side. It's on a ball joint. Torso is also on a ball joint itself, so it can turn 360 degrees like so, go side to side a little bit, go forward a little bit, go back a little bit. Shoulder joint here, turn 360 degrees and raise the arms this far. No upper bicep swivel. Elbow joint here, turn 360 degrees and bend this far, and this is as much you can bend, and this is as much as you can straighten up. No wrist articulation at all. Hip joint here is on a ball joint, so the pegs are aligned this way, so you have to twist the ball joint in order to move the leg forward or to the sides. So we'll tie that turns 360 degrees. Knee joint, there's no double jointed knee, so it bends this far and turn 360 degrees, just like, well, Hasbro's Marvel Legends style. Ankle joint here is a bit tight, so I have to use the other one. Can bend this far and bend as much as this height. But the problem is the way they sculpted onto the leg itself, the lower leg here, is really hard for you to actually pivot the ankle a bit further up. Now for the articulation, they actually remove two of the joints itself, and for a Spider-Man figure, it is not as posable compared to Toy Biz version, so you cannot do a lot of dynamic poses for Spider-Man. He can't even crouch at all, so that's rather disappointing and quite limited, especially on the knee joint here, that he can only bend this far. And since there's no wrist articulation, you can't actually do anything with the wrist itself. Overall, the figure is actually not bad. It's not good either, but it's not that bad. It's quite average, but nice articulation, very nice articulation, despite that it's missing the wrist joint. And it's a typical Hasbro's version of a Marvel Legends style figure, so there's not much to talk about. Paint job is not a lot, there's not a lot of details. Sculpt itself is nothing that spectacular, and articulation is rather meh. So if I'm gonna give a rating for this, I would say I'll just give it a 5 out of 10, because it's really nothing that spectacular. It doesn't wow you. If you want to get a proper Spider-Man figure, this is the only Spider-Man figure that's proper. The other black costume Spider-Man comes with a gimmick on his left arm, if I believe, that shoots out the web itself, and you may lose the, well, elbow joint itself for the other Spider-Man. This is a much more better Spider-Man figure compared to the other one. So if you want to get this black costume Spider-Man, this one would be much more better. So 5 out of 10 for the black costume Spider-Man. I thank you all for watching. This is Lucy05, and I'm signing off.